too.
Do you think your training, I know you had some training as an actor with
Yeah.
Mike Nichols, Gene Hackman, Ellen Bernstein a while ago.
Yeah, Ellen Burstyn.
Ellen Bernstein,
But people always like confuse that because I'm Gorenstein, and then so they'll put that Steen at the end of her name if we're talking.
That's some interesting people that you train with.
Yeah.
Now, training with them, acting-wise, do you think that translated and helped you with your photography? Of why you're so good?
Absolutely. I mean, like you look at a lot of like the great directors throughout like film history. You know, people like Elia Kazan, who directed On the Waterfront. Well, he had started as an actor. He spoke the language. I mean, Mike Nichols, had started out as a performer and an improviser, and he got that. Gene Hackman, of course, or Ellen, they have that training. So I've been back. I mean, this is 20 years ago. When I did some acting, I'd been directed by them, but they could speak your language.
Right.
So although haven't acted in a million years, I've had headshots done. I know what it's like to be on the other side of the camera and have somebody saying, give me lots of energy, and me just going like, what do I do with that? So when I started shooting headshots, I thought to myself, I want to do headshots for actors the way I always wish my headshots had been done, and work in that way with people. And so I started photographing. I started taking classes at ICP in New York and studying with a lot of really good photographers, and started photographing friends who were actors and capturing real moments where they were looking at the shots and going like, wow, I see myself in that photo. And I was like, okay, I know I'm onto something. And then I eventually had to develop the technical skills to match like what I could bring in terms of direction to it.
Interesting. What's your approach to headshots when it comes to style, lighting, and backgrounds?
Okay, so nowadays you have a lot more room to play with headshot styles. In the old days, a headshot was a headshot because it was like a close type shot you had, like kind of like the one you had, and it was just a plain background, and that was it. And headshots were done strictly in black and white. Nowadays, headshots are done, and they should be done 100% in color. The only reason headshots were ever done in black and white is because it was too expensive for actors to reproduce color headshots. That was the only reason. Now, digital printing comes along, all of a sudden it's the exact same price. So everyone,
color.
You should have color, because then everything becomes an asset. Your blue eyes, your skin tone, your hair color, all of that comes to being important. And also because film and TV is in color, so you want to see that, as opposed to black and white. It's a part of the casting process. So that's really important, is that your shots are done in color. The other aspect of it, in terms of lighting, you have much more room to play with lighting. Some people shoot with studio light, some people shoot with natural light, some people shoot with a combination of studio and natural light, mixed light. And you'll have some photographers who shoot studio light saying, studio light's the greatest thing in the world, and then you'll have natural light photographers saying, natural light's the greatest thing in the world. The reality of it is, one is not better than the other. It's how you work with it. It's having the skill set to be able to use that lighting to make it work for the person you're photographing. So that's the most important thing. And then that you're lighting in ways that are natural, where it again is not some crazy shadow on the side of somebody's face where it looks lit. You don't want that sort of vibe to your headshot, because that just looks canned and it's a bit dated. And in terms of backgrounds, you can play more in the background. You never want the background to be distracting. So you never want like all kinds of crazy things. I saw a headshot recently of somebody on a swing, and I'm kind of like, why? What sort of story is that telling? It just is kind of dumb, and so it didn't make any sense. But if I took you and I put you up against a brick wall that was a little grittier, that's going to tell a certain story for a certain look that might make sense for you. If I took the girl next door and put her up against a gritty, dirty brick wall, no, it doesn't make sense. But yet you'll see shots like that out there, where it's about the photographer's style, or that's the only background that the photographer shoots with. And then it's not making sense for marketing. It's like any sort of marketing. It has to make sense for the actor and the story that you're telling.
I can honestly say, especially after interviewing you right now, and again I repeat, looking at those shots, your headshots, I was amazed.
Wow.
You really capture, a lot of people don't realize modeling, acting, to get that one great shot, how many shots a photographer has to take? Could be a couple hundred to get that really, really great shot showing who you really are. And honest to God, I was on my computer looking at every picture with a fine-tooth comb. You got that on every one. And I'm gonna look at the camera right now and tell everybody in the acting business, every actor and actress, before you go to your photographer and get your headshots, I want you to go to Doug's website and study his shots, because I really believe if you do, you're going to use this gentleman, because I don't think there's anybody better in the business than you. I really mean that.
You're really nice good to say. I mean, the cool thing with headshot photography and photographers, and I've got to know a lot of headshot photographers in New York who I'm friends with, who whose work I like and I think do really great work, is that you're going to get, like anything else, like all levels of talent. Mm-hmm. So it's important, to look at other photographers' websites, to meet with photographers, to talk to them and stuff like that, and do your research, before you shoot somebody, and also like get a sense of the styles that you like, and what works for them. And there's difference between acting and modeling, and you do take a lot of shots to get those shots. Like models have a certain way of approaching photography that works for modeling but isn't necessarily right for headshots. So like years ago I had this model move to New York. She'd been doing modeling around the country, different places, and she came in and we did a headshot shoot. And I had to talk to her about saying, okay, like she was great at posing and things like that, but I was like, okay, we want to make this about between you and the camera. It's not about the product, it's about these different moments we're capturing. And she was smart. Like I could tell, like sometimes somebody's in modeling and they want to get into acting and they're wondering if they have any talent, they just want to try it. But she took direction really well. I was like, she's got something there, Anyway, did headshots. It turned out great. She was really cool, really, just beautiful face. Really, just had her act together. And 2 months later, she booked a contract role on the soap All My Children, and then she ended up on a series with David Caruso, playing his wife, and now she plays the assistant district attorney on Law and Order.
No,
her name's
really?
Alana De La Garza, and she turned out to be incredibly talented, like a real just a real actor. And I wish I could take credit for her career. We got some really good headshots in the moment, which I think helped to open some doors for auditions, and then obviously her talent is what actually got her the jobs. So for me,
like the headshots can open that door.
They certainly can. They can help open the door. They can help get you seen. And if your shots aren't good, they can really hold you back.
Sure.
I mean, the kiss of death is when you meet somebody, you look at the shot, you look at them, and you say, God, you're so much more attractive in person than you are in your headshot. And you're like, oh man, you're probably not getting seen for so many roles that you should be seen for, Or the opposite is, let's say you look at somebody's headshot and they're really handsome in their shot or really beautiful in their shot, and then they walk in the door and they don't match the picture, and you're like, wow, you'd be right for a lot of stuff and more offbeat sidekick characters, but you've made yourself look like this ingenue in your headshot, which sometimes people do because they think, oh, I need to look like that. You need to embrace who you are, what's unique about you, what's special about you, whatever it is. Like people say, oh, I'm not photogenic. I have, I have a crooked nose, or I have like, some sort of, my angles on my face aren't right.
It doesn't matter if you capture the real them.
The real them, because that's what's unique. Christopher Lloyd has a great face. He's Christopher Lloyd. He doesn't need to look like Brad Pitt because he's Christopher Lloyd. That's who he is. Danny DeVito is unique because he's Danny DeVito.
Right.
So it's important for actors to embrace that and not give that up. It's easy in this business to start giving up yourself. You need to be true to you and embrace that. Okay, well, I might not be playing the parts that Jennifer Aniston's going to be playing, but those aren't always the most interesting roles either. And as a headshot photographer, my job is to be honest with people and say, if someone comes to me and says, I need all my leading lady shots and all that, and I'm looking at them and they're more of like a Roseanne type, or whatever. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say, listen, I need to serve you first. It has to serve you in the business. So sometimes I have to take a deep breath, and worry I'm not going to get smacked or punched. To be honest with somebody, and because part of my job is not just to take good pictures of people, but to have the integrity enough to say, I want to make this work for you, and to be able to speak up if I really feel somebody is off track. And most of the time people aren't, but sometimes people are.
You made my day.
Oh, thanks.
Great interview.
Thanks
for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And I know you're busy, but you know what? I think after this interview, because I want you to give your information, like how people get in touch with
Absolutely.
you. Are you going to be able to handle all the calls you're going to be getting from this interview? Because I'm serious. Any actor out there that's watching this interview, like Doug said, you know, go to other photographers, let them tell you what they're going to tell you. I really believe that when you come to Doug and you meet him and talk to him and look at his work, you're going to hire him. I know I am. You're doing my headshots.
I'd love to, and you
Yeah,
know, I'm here in Philly, you know, shooting right now. You know, to get great actors headshots for Philly actors. My studio is based in New York, but you know, I'm hoping to come down to Philly again and do some more shots. So you know, I'm always happy to work with people, and they can contact me through my website.
Tell them the website.
The website is, I'll turn to the camera, it's like an infomercial. The website is my name, it's douglasgorenstein.com, and Gorenstein spelled Gorenstein. And the number of the studio is 212-967-2810. I'm always happy to do free consultations with people over the phone. And you know, if you have any questions, even if you're not shooting with me, if someone's not shooting with me, you know, and they're like, listen, I can't make it to New York, or you know, I have to get shots done right away, or I'm not Philly based. If somebody just has questions, you know, about photography or getting their headshots done, and they want to call me direct, I'm happy to answer some questions for them. You know, at no charge. It's just, you know, just way helping each other out.
Okay, again, thanks a lot, Doug.
Thank you, Eddie, for having me. It's really great to be here in Philadelphia.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Hope you enjoyed the show, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.